So the subject of this video is actually as a result of someone's recent question, and I'm always looking for questions and suggestions of videos that I can do. So here's a question that I got on my YouTube channel from Karma Ella a couple of days ago, and it says, what do I do if I'm finding it hard to speak and explain my experience? As in, I feel like I have lazy neurons because I physically work hard to prep, but when I get questioned, I go brain dead. That happens to the best of us. So today I'm going to give you actually kind of a secret way that I tell all of my clients to do in prepping for an interview. Okay? So if you find yourself in the situation where you do a lot of prep work, you know you've got this handled, you want this job so badly, and it's a perfect fit for you, you could do it in your sleep, it's custom made for you, and you get in there and you absolutely bomb it, or you've had that experience in the past and you don't want to have it again. All right, here's how I tell my clients to get over that. You actually put together a cheat sheet, and you're probably wondering, what kind of cheat sheet can I put together that I can actually refer to in an interview that's not going to make me look like I'm, looking at different pieces of paper and I'm trying to find my notes and everything? How am I going to do that? So here's what you do actually. You want to put two different things in that one-page piece of paper. So the first thing is you want to list your stories, but you only want to list a couple of words that will remind you of that story. All right? And that's in the top 2/3 of the page. So a couple of words to remind you of that story, followed by the quantifiable result. So you'll have to think, what was the end result of that achievement story? Now, sometimes it's going to be dollars. Sometimes it's going to be, for instance, cycle time. You were able to cut something down from 3 weeks down to 3 days. Or perhaps it could be some mentoring that you did. For instance, if you are a great leader and you were able to help someone move up in their career and really reach their full potential. Maybe that's a great story, but that's the quantifiable result. Sometimes it's really qualitative and not quantitative, but you got to keep in mind, people love numbers, and you'll find in a face-to-face interview, if you're telling a story and then you have a quantifiable end result, in other words, a number attached to that story, you will find that in that interview, your interviewer is going to write down that number. That's something that they can quantify, that they can hold in their hand, and they're writing down that number. That's what they're going to remember out of the story. All right? So come prepared with a cheat sheet so that you don't have to go brain dead. And if you go brain dead, it's okay, because you're actually looking at that paper. If they ask you a question and you need to rely on your memory, and it's not going to happen for you because you're going brain dead in the interview, then glance down at that piece of paper in the top 2/3 where you're going to have a couple of words to remind you of the story. And the reason I say a couple of words is because I don't want you to write out, even bullet point out, a long list of things, because it takes too long for you to glance at it. You don't want to read something, you want to glance down at it just for a moment so that when you come back up you've got the story in hand. And the reason I say just a couple of words is because this is just for you, not for anyone else. So you could list, for instance, sales 2006, or you can list a specific customer. Let's say there was a really difficult customer and you were able to turn them around and make them a raving fan. So you would list that specific customer's name followed by the quantifiable result, which would be you saved a $2.5 million account. Okay? Something like that. So you really want in the first 2/3 to list a couple of words followed by the quantifiable result. And I do recommend that you put them in columns, that you get out your Microsoft Word, you put 3 columns, and then you list out a couple of words followed by the quantifiable result, and do that for as many stories as you can remember in your history. You know, when we go through our branding process, believe it or not, it takes on average about 31 hours for someone to fill out our resume application. And that may seem really outrageous. Why would you want to spend that much time on something like a resume? Believe me, what you're doing is preparing for those interviews, not just for the resume. So whether you work with us or not, take the time to think about every position you've ever had and everywhere you've worked, everything you've done, and take inventory, take stock of everything that you're proud of, everything that you did differently, and how you made a position your own, how you did it better than other people could have done it. All right, and then follow it by the quantifiable result. So that's the top 2/3 of the paper. You're probably wondering, well, what's on the bottom third? The bottom third are the questions that you're going to ask. Now, those questions actually can be written out. You can write out those questions or type them out, and you want to have those ahead of time. So what I would recommend is go to my questioning strategy videos. I have 2 of them. There's a questioning strategy part 1 and a questioning strategy part 2, and go through those, and they have specific questions that you want to use to make yourself highly relevant to their pain points, their aspirations, their immediate needs, and their growth goals. Okay? So check that out. I've put links to those in the description below, and please feel free to take those and put those specifically on the bottom half, or bottom third of your cheat sheet. Now, you might be wondering, is this one of these things that is going to make me look bad? Is it going to make me look like I'm cheating, that like I don't really have my act together? Actually, I've talked to a lot of CEOs and a lot of COOs, and I asked them, if someone were to come into a high-stakes interview with this cheat sheet page, would you first consider them to be cheating or ill-prepared, or you're relying on notes? Or number 2, would you consider them to be very serious about the process and taking the process very seriously and preparing very well, and consider it to be an asset versus a detriment? 100% of the people that I surveyed, and I've probably talked to over 50 people that I've asked that question on, and they've been at very high levels, C-suites, and they all say, every single one of them say that they believe that it would show them that the person really wants the job, that they're very prepared, they've got their act together, they've got everything in a row, they know exactly what they're going to say and exactly what they're going to ask. So I think that this is a great something to set you apart from your competition in a high stakes interview, or really any interview where you really want the job. So if you find yourself preparing really well but going brain dead in an interview, that's the answer. Use a cheat sheet, and it will work every single time. Now, what I've learned from my clients is that once they put that cheat sheet together, actually they find that when they go into the interview, they got it in their head. They don't have to look at your cheat sheet. They rarely look at it, maybe for the questions a little bit, but mostly they've got it in their heads. So it takes all of the pressure off, and it allows you to go into the interview with no pressure about remembering the stories that you want to tell in that interview, because it's all on paper and you can glance down at it. All right? Well, I hope this has served you today, and I'm Tammy Kabell, again, with Career Resume Consulting, and I'm really glad that you spent some time with me today. If you've got any questions, please feel free to put them in the comments below. If you find this helpful, I would love for you to subscribe, so please consider subscribing, and if you've got wonderful comments, please let me know about those, and of course, I will answer as many questions as I can possibly get to. Thanks, have a good one, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye now.